At least 47 are dead after a huge earthquake strikes off the coast of Chile. Tsunami warnings have been issued. A massive earthquake with a magnitude of 8.8 has hit central Chile. Reports say at least 47 people have been killed. There have since been several big aftershocks. The earthquake occurred 90 kilometres from the city of Concepcion in Chile, just after 3 o'clock in the morning local time. Buildings in the capital Santiago were reported to have shaken for between 10 and 30 seconds. Telephone and power lines are down, making it hard to assess damage. The US issued an initial tsunami warning for Chile, Peru and Ecuador. That was later extended to Colombia, Antarctica and Central America. Japan's meteorological agency warned of a potential tsunami across large areas of the Pacific. Well, the Chilean President Michelle Bachelet has declared a state of catastrophe in central Chile, but she urged residents to stay in their homes and said the government was doing all it could.
We're giving information about the roads, transport, the infrastructure there, what kind of damage, and news about the wounded and other victims. And of course, we're asking for calm.
Well, the phone networks are down all across Chile, and the earthquake was also felt in Argentina. Well, joining me from there in Buenos Aires, in fact, is our correspondent Daniel Schweimler. Obviously, Daniel, communication's proving to be very difficult, but what's the latest you're hearing?
Well, it really is a case of trying to piece together information, try to find out the extent of the damage and the number of casualties. We've just heard that the emergency centre in Santiago, which was set up immediately after the earthquake, has sent emergency crews down to the city of Concepcion and the region of Bio, which is pretty close to the epicentre. As we've heard, 47 people confirmed dead, but the bulk of the damage and the casualties are likely to be found in and around that city of Concepcion, which is a big city, third biggest in Chile, with something like 200,000 residents.
So the government was fairly well organised, was it, in response to this?
It was. The earthquake happened just after 3 o'clock in the morning Chilean time, and the emergency centre was up and running almost immediately afterwards. Chilean television was showing pictures of President Michelle Bachelet at the centre, very, very quickly coordinating efforts there, talking at the centre, very, very quickly coordinating efforts there, talking to the rescue workers. Again, just a major operation of trying to find out the extent of the damage, because telephone communication was cut pretty much across the country. Power was down in much of Chile as well. They're fighting very, very hard to try to re-establish those links, but a very difficult situation at the moment.
Of course, then, not just the earthquake procedures in motion, but also the response to a tsunami warning.
Yeah, and there have been reports in the southern islands of Juan Fernandez in southern Chile that large waves have hit those islands. Again, too early to tell about the extent of the damage, but that has been reported. And right across the west coast of South America and Central America, that warning is in place, but for Central America downwards.
Daniel, thanks very much for the moment. Daniel Schweimler in Buenos Aires. Well, earlier I spoke to Dr. Roger Musson of the British Geological Survey in Edinburgh, and he told me how this quake compared to other previous ones in the area.
This is a great earthquake by anybody's standards. It's the largest earthquake anywhere in the world since the Great Sumatra earthquake 6 years ago. But they can get even bigger in Chile, because further south of this one was the largest earthquake ever recorded in 1960, and that was 9.5. So that is very considerably larger than this one.
And of course, the aftershocks can be equally terrifying for people, can't they?
They can. I mean, particularly when people have been really frightened and disturbed by the main shock. Aftershocks are disproportionately frightening, and they're also disproportionately damaging, because the main shock will have damaged a lot of buildings. The main shock will have damaged a lot of buildings and weakened them, and even a relatively small aftershock can just polish them off. Now that means that aftershocks do more damage than would be expected for their size, but they don't cause more casualties, because of course anybody with any sense whatsoever is not going to stay in a building after a major earthquake, after the building's been damaged and aftershocks are continuing.